In this training video, I am going to teach you how to answer behavioural interview questions. I guarantee during your job interview, you will have to answer behavioural interview questions. Questions such as, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a colleague. Another example is, describe a time when you had to meet a tight deadline, and give an example of a goal you set and how you achieved it. If you want to know how to answer these and more behavioural interview questions to get the highest scores possible, make sure you stay tuned. And just very quickly, tell me the name of the job you are applying for in the comment section below the video so I can give you some extra tips to help you pass. Okay, let's get straight into the training session. To begin with, I want to teach you the best structure to use when answering any behavioural question. I strongly recommend you use the STAR method, S-T-A-R. The STAR method is recognised by all hiring managers as the most effective way to respond to difficult behavioural interview questions. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So whenever you are answering a behavioural interview question, begin your response and outline the situation you were in. You then move on and give brief details of the task that needed your attention. Next, you give in-depth details of the action you took to complete the task before finally finishing your answer with the results following your actions. Make sure you always use the STAR method to get the highest scores possible. In this next section of the video, I want to give you some brilliant tips for answering each of the most common behavioural interview questions, plus give you a STAR method example answer. Let's start with question number one. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with a colleague. This question assesses conflict resolution, communication, and teamwork skills. Here's some examples. A work colleague is constantly late finishing tasks and projects which is holding up your team. You challenge them calmly and professionally, and it creates a conflict which you need to resolve. Another example, a colleague is heard using inappropriate language in the workplace. You challenge them based on their unprofessional behaviour, and that creates a conflict. Another example is you and a work colleague disagree on the best way to tackle an important task or project. So those are three really good examples you could use when answering that behavioural interview question. Here is my perfect STAR method response for you to write down and practice. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with a colleague. In my previous position, I noticed a work colleague taking longer work breaks than they were entitled to. People in the team started to notice, and his actions were affecting morale. I decided to speak to him about the issue because I didn't want the problem to escalate. I asked to speak to him privately. When I expressed my concerns, he instantly became defensive. He argued that he was entitled to longer work breaks because he had been with the company the longest. I calmly and professionally explained that he wasn't entitled to longer work breaks and it was unfair to the rest of the team. We all had important deadlines to meet, and his part of the team's work was vital to our success. After listening to my reasoned argument, he apologised and committed to only taking breaks in line with company policy. You can see how effective the STAR method is when responding to difficult behavioural interview questions. Let's now move on to behavioural interview question number two. This one is a tricky one to answer. Describe a time when you had to meet a tight deadline. This question assesses time management, prioritization, and pressure handling. Let me give you several examples. An important company client requests last-minute changes to a project. You work hard to ensure the deadline is still met. Another example, 2 project team members unexpectedly go off work sick. You reallocate tasks to team members based on their strengths to still make sure the deadline is achieved. So let me now give you another STAR method answer to this behavioural interview question. Describe a time when you had to meet a tight deadline. Here we go. The day before a critical senior managers meeting, the conference centre called to inform me that the venue was suddenly unavailable due to unforeseen circumstances. I had to quickly find an alternative venue to ensure the meeting could still go ahead as planned and without disruption. I immediately contacted several nearby venues, explained the urgency and assessed availability, capacity and facilities. Within a few hours, I secured a suitable replacement, arranged transport details and informed all attendees of the change. The meeting went ahead as scheduled the next day with no delays or complaints, and the senior management team thanked me for my swift action and problem-solving skills. Let's now move on to behavioural interview question number 3, and that is, give an example of a goal you set and how you achieved it. This behavioural interview question evaluates goal setting, motivation and follow through, your ability to complete goals on time and to the expected standard. Let me give you several examples. You want to improve your team's communication. You therefore recommend a quick 5-minute daily team progress meeting to discuss project challenges. Another example, you want to boost company sales, so you assess upsell opportunities and ask customers for feedback on the services they want. And a final example is you want to develop new professional skills, so you enroll onto an online training course. Here is another brilliant STAR method answer that will help you get hired. Write this down. Give an example of a goal you set and how you achieved it. In my previous job, I wanted to develop my communication skills to improve workplace conversations, have more influence during team discussions, and enhance my listening skills. I set a goal to complete the course within 4 weeks. After work one evening, I asked ChatGPT to give me links to the top 3 suitable courses in effective communication that allowed me to study remotely and online. After finding a course on udemy.com with great reviews and online support, I enrolled. I completed the course in my free time within 4 weeks, and my manager commented during my next performance review that my communication with colleagues had developed significantly. Behavioural interview question number 4 is, tell me about a mistake you made and what you learned from it. Now, this question assesses accountability, honesty, self-awareness and growth mindset. Be very careful how you answer this question. Let me give you some examples. You send a customer incorrect pricing information in an email. As soon as you realise, you apologise and ensure it does not happen again. Another example, you complete a workplace training course, but you fail the exam because you thought you knew everything about the subject. And a final example is you send an email with sensitive information to the wrong person. You quickly recall the email and contact them to apologise. So those type of situations will do you no harm at work, but it's important that you are honest, you apologise and you take responsibility. Here is another great STAR method answer. Tell me about a mistake you made and what you learned from it. In a previous job, I was dealing with a customer on the telephone who had requested information about our products and services. My task was to send a comprehensive email with all the relevant information to empower them to make a buying decision. Unfortunately, I failed to double check the contents of the email, and after it was sent, I realised I had included incorrect pricing. As soon as I realised my mistake, I quickly called the customer to apologise before sending the correct email with amended pricing. To prevent the same mistake from happening again, I developed the habit of reading through all emails several times before sending them to ensure accuracy. That is such a strong answer. You are being honest, you apologise, you take responsibility, but more importantly, you put steps in place to make sure the same mistake never happens again. It's the perfect STAR method answer. Behavioural interview question number 5. Give an example of a time you had to adapt to a significant change. This question assesses flexibility, resilience, and problem-solving capabilities. Here's several examples. You must adapt to a change in working practices when a new manager takes over your team or your department. Another example, you must adapt to a new company software system that replaces your old one. And a final example is you are asked to take on new duties because the company has restructured. So those are really good examples of when you might have had to adapt to a significant change. Here is my perfect STAR method answer. Write this down. Give an example of a time you had to adapt to a significant change. We underwent a significant restructuring in my previous company that required everyone to accept new responsibilities. I wanted to support the company in the change, so I needed to quickly learn my duties. My manager briefed me on my new responsibilities. I asked questions to clarify before reading training manuals and company operating procedures. By following a systematic approach, I was able to adapt quickly to the changes. I learned my new responsibilities within 4 days and then supported my team in the changed objectives. There you have it, 5 powerful STAR method answers to difficult behavioural interview questions. The next thing to do is click that link right now in the top right hand corner of the video, head straight through to my website passmyinterview.com, and you can instantly download my 27 behavioural interview questions and top scoring answers. You get 27 additional responses to the most common behavioural interview questions, plus all of the responses I gave in this training video. Click that link to get everything in your inbox within 2 minutes from now. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give the video a like, because that really does motivate me to create more great content for you. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best for passing your interview. Have a great day.